Hello everyone, LoLGM the Great here. Welcome back, finally, to LoLGM, to League of Legends Manager as it would be. We are finally returning to this series, as it's been a while. I know, I haven't really uploaded a whole bunch, or well, at all, in the last like 3 or 4 weeks, and that's just because school sucks. But we're gonna get back into it, and it all starts today with LoLGM. So, with SI Gaming, this is where the roster sits. Where we last left off, which was the 2023 season, we finished third place, 13-9 with a 5-game win streak heading into the playoffs. Unfortunately, that didn't translate to much, as we lost in 5 games with that asterisk right there, with 5 games to Imperium Aces, who did end up winning their second straight championship. This means now our former jungler Dennis Shaba Brown, and yes, although this is incomplete, Dennis Shaba Brown does have a second title. So, yeah, I have to deal with that in the back of my mind now. But anyway, here are your defending champions. They just added Nashimu, I believe Kiru will start the first season, yes? And then Shaba, Blackjaw did start last year, so Blackjaw and Eric Beauty. So there you are. Looking at the power rankings, yeah, we're the #1 team. But I think that's a little bit of an asterisk considering our bench, but I'll talk about that in a moment. The 207 Shock would be the next best team to win the title. They just signed Baver, they have Zoidbee, Shone in the mid lane still. DJ Rocker Daniel, still the 80, or well, yeah, still the 80 carry actually. And then there's Kayula. But if we want to talk about SIG's chances, we have to talk about what they're going to have to deal with this season. The, I guess, problem for SIG is that we actually have, a few players that we can actually play. We can, I can start, 8 players. I could start 8 players on this team right now. That's what I'm looking at. Because Voidbane is 70 overall compared to the starter, Dilgod, who's only 71 overall. He also has more traits and a higher MMR. Not that I really put much value into MMR. Obviously, our best player is James Meeks Abrams, but Bobby Irrelevis Q Floyd is also right there at 83 overall. He's only 6 overall, worse, and he has better traits. Also worth mentioning is fellow rookie Chris Hoshnow Brooks, who does not have more traits than Shintu, but is still younger and only 2 overall less. So this season is going to be incredibly interesting just because I actually have to pay attention. Normally, I just hit play, obviously until regular season, then until the end of the season, I just sit here on the standings menu. But I don't think I can do that this time, just simply because if we do bad, we have the players that we can replace the starters with. So I'm going to go through this season a little bit at a time. I'll, check in if I think it's interesting, or I'll check in obviously, and we'll see how this season really ends out. So 9 games into the season, we sit at 3-6, having lost 5 in a row. And before this, I was kind of just going through the games and just seeing, why were we losing? And more often than not, it was Nether Rose more than anything. And that's a slight issue, because the mid lane isn't the thing we can swap out. But Dilgod hasn't really been performing super well these last 3 games. I'm going to go ahead and sub in Voidbane to be our jungler. Voidbane, 3-year rookie, hasn't really played a whole bunch. The jungle issue's returning for SIG once again. But yeah, Voidbane, he is slightly different from Dilgod. I mean, he's obviously 3 years younger, he's 1 overall less, still has potential. Also, his contract expires this season, and he has more traits. So I don't know what to do about Nether Rose. I mean, I've considered, looking at trade, trades for him, but at the same time, this game isn't really that good at getting good trades. Also, every team has 10 players, so I'd have to, you know, find a player and then something. This trade for Yukila from Paladin actually makes some sense, but like it doesn't really help. I can trade that. You made that deal right there. Primal Gaming, Dream and Muscletar. That's a pretty darn good deal. But I don't think we're gonna trade right now. So Voidbane is gonna start for a few games and let's see how it works. So we're still at the bottom of the table after subbing Voidbane in. That's the wrong thing. But in the 5 games that he's played, I mean, first game was pretty bad. Second game, better, and it's still not really his fault in this game. Nether Rose, still bad. In the loss against Crystal, only Benix did really good. Or did any semblance of good. But then we started winning. Voidbane had probably his career day. He died before 10 minutes and then didn't die the rest of the game. 10-1 and 9. It was just an amazing stomp of Quantum. And then against the 207 Shock, we won again, and Voidbane's been really good. So I think I'm going to keep Voidbane in. I just don't know what to do with Nether Rose right now. Because, literally, you could see the difference, in the KDA. He's just not that good right now. I don't have a mid. I'm not going to be cheeky and roll swap. But he's not performing. I'm not going to be cheeky and roll swap or Relevance Q. That's what I'm saying. But, it's just, I don't know what to do with it. Now, there isn't really a trade deadline in the game, but how I'm looking at it is, we have, 6, 7, 8 games left? We have 8 games left? As you can see, this giant loss streak here. We have 8 games left. If we don't win these next 3 in a row, I'm going to go ahead and at least sub in Irrelevance Q and Posh now, because if we're not going to, win, Benix and Shinku, neither of them are going to win anything. And I don't think Shinku's competing for a assist record this season yet. It'd actually be his worst season yet, so probably should just at least consider looking at Irrelevance Q and Posh now. But, let's see if we win these next 3 games. Well, we did not win any of the 3 games, and the KDA is now across the board looking very bad. I'm going to go ahead and just, sub in the 4 guys. I'm also going to sub in Curry Cat in the mid lane. I don't think it's going to matter, because we're already really bad, and it's probably not going to help us win, but I at least want to see him get a better KDA than Nether. I just don't really feel like I might release Nether Rose after this season, because it has just been absolutely good. Team performance, aside, he has been undoubtedly the worst player this season. And usually I'm not a fan of releasing players, especially if they're on deals, but he's 25, he's been on the team for a while. I think it's time we can let him go. But let's sim out the rest of the season and see where we end up. So, in a sudden swing of events, we actually ended out the season with 5 straight wins with the new team. Irrelevance Q Posh now and Curry Cat, Voidbane. The only person we didn't really change out was Chaos Quick, and I didn't really want to change out Chaos Quick. But yeah, all 5 games were, pretty darn good wins for the team, just overall, and especially Irrelevance Q. He did really, really good. Now, you look at the rosters, yes, the KDA is going to be a little bit whacked up and, out of sorts, because, I mean, Gilgod didn't even play half the season, and Nether Rose, Benix, and Shinku played over half the season. And obviously, all the Academy guys played 5 games, but still, I think it's promising that over 5 games, Relevance Q got a 16.3 KDA. And I think I'm going to roll with him going forward, which probably means Benix is going to become a free agent after this season. Probably alongside Shinku, if they don't retire, obviously. That's also something I was considering, is that all 3 of these players might very well retire. But we'll see. We didn't make the playoffs, unfortunately, but we did go 10 and 12, so I guess it could have been worse. I mean, we were, at the bottom of the table, but we managed to sneak back up. to end out the season, so it's not terrible. But here's your summer playoffs. The Silver Dragons finished first with a 14-8 record. They had Badza, Xeris, Alter, Winter, and Bear. Not like Narhelm. The Jade Crown also finished with a very similar record with Type 0, Viper, Scan, Vigos, and Burnout. The quarterfinal matches will be the 2-7 Shock versus Paladin and Primal versus the Aether Wolves, which means the Imperium Aces missed. They did. Unfortunately, it looks like they got beat out in the tiebreak between Paladin and Aether Wolves. They went 11-11, did not make the playoffs. So, no third straight championship for the IA, but let's see how playoffs goes. After some deliberation, I kind of decided, let's go ahead and do playoffs live, I guess. That would be the word for it. So not Control, Alt. Paladin and Primal take game 1. Shock and Wolves take game 2. Paladin and Primal take game 3. And Paladin and Primal take game 4. That's intriguing. But it will be the Silver Dragons facing off against Paladin, and Jade Crown facing off against Primal. Away. Oh, almost the same thing. Jade Crown Gaming will head to the finals. They will face off against Paladin. So this is intriguing. If we open up the history books real quick, and transition that over, I totally can see it. Give me uno momento to pull this up. You guys can already see who's won titles and stuff. Not that. The edited version. There it is. So, if you don't know, this is obviously the second time I've run this series. So the years look messed up. Because I had to restart because it was too hard and I couldn't change it. But yeah, as you can see, with this season, so it's Paladin and Jade Crown who are in the finals. Paladin is looking for... Well, I don't actually know if that was for the first title. Here. So... Okay, yeah. So Paladin is looking for their first championship since the first season ever. And Jade Crown, I believe, is also looking for their first. We will go off history, transition here, summer history. Yes, Jade Crown is looking for their first. So, Paladin looking for the first in a while, Jade Crown looking for their first. As I've already said 3 times now. It is Red Koi, Doll, Upila, Blazing Frog, and SPM for Paladin. And for Jade Crown, Type 0, Viper, Scan, Vigos, and Burnout. Let's see who wins the title. Jade Crown takes game 1, Jade Crown takes game 2, Paladin takes game 3, and Jade Crown Gaming wins their first championship. As Scan wins Finals MVP, Winter from the Silver Dragons wins MVP. Dilgod retired, which I guess I could have been seeing. But other retirements around the league, Vigos Tornado is gone. So one of our biggest, first players is now gone. Musletar is gone. Beyonce, Dawn, Narhelm decided to retire. Zyvie as well, and then a bunch of prospects. So there you go. For your league leaders, Furry Cat led the league in kills, although this is all going to be screwed up now. It's all going to be screwed up now. I think they got the MVP right, though, because Winter was the MVP, even though he didn't lead League KDA because of Relative SQ. But yeah, so leader in kills was Type 0. Assists would be Bear. Creep score would be Winter. He also won MVP and KDA, obviously. And let me go see if I can find our Rookie of the Year. Your Rookie of the Year is your Finals MVP, Patrick Scan Yurisfit. So also just a quick rundown of your all-league teams. First team, Silver Dragon's Winter, Jade Crown Viper, Jade Crown Scan, Jade Crown Type 0, and 207 Zoidbee. Your second team, 207 Shone, Primal Gaming Ophids, 207 Rocker, 30 Maces Blackjaw, and Aether Wolves Quinn. Your third team, SIG's Voidbane, PMG's Dream, Jade Programming's Vigos, Silver Dragon's Altar, and Silver Dragon's Fair. So, yeah. This season was unfortunately, once again, not what we were expecting, but I was expecting at least to make the playoffs, or at least have another chance at that, and we kind of got hot at the end of the season. I think I held off a little bit too much on the, on the Switch, but at the same time, at the same time, I don't really feel like Benix was having a bad year. Jesus. Yeah, I don't think he was having a bad year. It was just whenever we lost, his ratings weren't terrible. Like, we can go back, 0-2-1 on Tristana in a loss isn't bad compared to the rest of his team, maybe except for Dilga. In our second loss to Aether Wolves, he had, the most kills on the team. Against Silver Dragons, 138, that isn't really good. That was a bad game for him. But against Excalibur in the loss, 3-1-2, like, he had, a couple bad games, but mostly, he was, getting kills, it didn't result in a win for us. So, I don't really think we're going to re-sign Benix just simply because I trust Relevus Q. I think one thing that I am going to do, though, is release Netherrose. I just do not believe in him anymore, and Currycat showed at least this season that he can take the role despite not having the overall. So, he'll do that, but yeah, we're most likely going to move on from Benix and Shinku. Before we go on any further, just so I remember I can do this, here are your prospects for this season. I don't really want to do a prospect spotlight anymore because, it's just not super duper fun for me. But yeah, there's all your prospects. At the top is Mehmet, there's Dave, and then El Kadiki. But obviously, all this rest doesn't really matter. Here are the players you have with expiring contracts: Benix, Voidbane, and Shinku. Considering Voidbane was the better jungler this season, and we wouldn't have a jungler moving forward, I think it would make sense to re-sign Voidbane, to this contract. So I am going to re-sign him probably to a 2-year deal until he's 22. We're obviously letting Benix and Shinku go, the veterans are leaving. But yeah, other than that, I think it's going to be good. And now nobody on this team is above 21, at least until next year. So let's go see what free agency looks like. So here is your free agency pool, and we have a wide assortment of players, especially in the mid lane where I think we need the most help. I trust Currycat, but at the same time, I also trust overall rating. He is not highly rated. There is quite a few mid laners rated above him. Our former mid, Aqua Monsoon, is also Burning, and obviously Netherrose. But the two above Netherrose I think I'm very interested in. Former MVP and longtime 207 Shock mid laner Shone has hit the market, and I'm incredibly interested in bringing him in. But there's also Isaiah Blue Penguin Levitt. He's played on Crystal. He's had a pretty good KDA as well, and he's younger and has potential. I just don't know if it would be fair to the game to sign it, but I guess, there's plenty of people out there. I'm going to go ahead and sign Blue Penguin. I think 2 or 3-year deal would make the most sense. It's what he would want, and I'm trying to keep this, realistic. I'm trying not to go out there and sign, all the top prospects and, like, all the big players because I can sign everyone because I forced it on. But, like, I'm trying not to do that. So, we'll sign Blue Penguin. Let's sim a few days here just so, other teams have a chance to sign whoever they want. Obviously, they don't do that because I know how free agency works. They did sign somebody, though. Someone did. I forget who the other guy was. Yeah, there was another guy out there who got signed. We need a backup bot lane and a jungler. With how jungle's been going, I don't know. You could sign anyone, really. I think Brandon Soul Rocks is going to be the signing for 3 seasons. Sim a couple days, so the game has chances to sign the players if they want. For backups, we're going to bring in Braden Sylvain Coronel on a 2-year deal to back up Relevus Q. And as for a support, probably sign a 1-year deal since we don't have a whole bunch of 1-year deals. Why don't we just go ahead and bring in Limmer? So Limmer will join in. Primitivo. He did actually start last year. He was on Primal Gaming. Huh. Oh, I was going to say, what the heck? I was going to say, why are we missing a player? Didn't I just sign it? Yeah, let's go see how free agency ends and check out. So the off season has officially concluded. We're now in the preseason once again. You can look at some of the big moves this year. First, Paladin made a pretty big one. They brought in Tyler Shone Pollard, as well as Shinku in the support role. So Shinku did find a new team, as well as Netherrose, who decided to join in with Quantum. Our former AD carry, Benix, decided to sign with the Aether Wolves for this season. Also, big AD carry Pajirio did end up going to the 207 Shock. He joins their team, and because I couldn't really find a really interesting fifth, we're just going to look at the best player in the league now, which is Excalibur's Corey Gren Spiraw. In the mid lane, Excalibur looks pretty good to start the season. But speaking of looking good, SI Gaming, I think, made the correct decision by signing Blue Penguin, as he is now an 87 overall mid laner. And the team doesn't look a whole bunch different in terms of overall from last season, but I still think it's better. Power rankings still have us first, although I think you'd be hard-pressed to bet against Gren and Poison, as well as their new support rules. But, yeah, so SIG, gonna come back for another season. We've now, I think, officially moved on from, like, the first two cores we've ever really had, as, you know, Netherrose is gone now. So, that will be it for this episode. Thank you all for watching. My name is LoLGM, and I'll see you all next time.